Hey everyone. Okay, so let's just jump right into the ending, because, yeah, Vegapunk's about to lay out all the government's dirty laundry for all the world to see. And this moment we're about to see unfold, I think for me is what has already kind of cemented Egghead as one of my favorite arcs in the series, simply for the fact that from the first moment of Vegapunk's like informal introduction from Ashaka, and hearing him say for the first time he's going to die, like in retrospect, that singular moment told us told us everything that we needed to know of how this arc was going to end. That Vegapunk's been preparing for this. He knew he was going to die regardless of the outcome. So if that's going to happen, then may as well pull the rug right out from under the government's feet. Like this, and that's exactly what he's about to do with the ending of this episode. Like this for me is the best example I've seen of how you portray a 4D chess maneuver. Like that didn't in any way feel contrived, convoluted, or like it just came out of nowhere. And the best part is, in a way, it's the government's own damn fault. They were so focused, so inwardly focused on killing Vegapunk, they never in their fucking minds, I think, ever conceived the idea that Vegapunk would probably even think of doing something like this. But he's about to do it, and he's about to fuck all of y'all over in the most major way possible. And again, much like in the manga, I am all here for this shit. Like, you motherfuckers had this coming for so fucking long, and it's coming for you hard, motherfuckers. So buckle up. Now, in saying that, I do like how there is kind of a downside to Veg. I do like how it did kind of address the downside to Vegapunk giving Bonnie so much power over the past pieces, which is that it just made her an easy target for the Marines. And it is and again, I like it how it is kind of like Vegapunk said in his dying breath that, yeah, he hopes to be forgiven for putting her in that kind of danger. Like that at this point his life doesn't matter. It's the life of Bonnie's that does, because she's the one. He's already a dead man. She's the one who's being targeted. Um, and I do like how even in his dying breath he still very much cares for Bonnie. Like he very much is, even though Bonnie blamed him for so long for what happened to Kuma. Now it's like now it is very much like that grandparent granddaughter relationship. Like it's like Vegapunk just genuinely wants to see Bonnie pretty much come out of this alive, even if she has to die. Even if he has to die. Alright though, let's talk about Caribou, because, yeah, as I said last episode, Man's got information on the location of two of the ancient weapons, and although most of his part of the episode is him just bumbling around and groveling through his explanation, he's not wrong in telling Van Augur and Katarina that Teach might just jump at the chance to obtain these weapons, the knowledge of these weapons that he's got. Although, again, in Hiroshi's case, it does kind of bring up the question of just how Teach can make use of the power for himself. But just the idea of getting his hands on her and Pluton is dangerous enough as it is to think, yeah, this is like like I said, this is one of those times where I know you can't predict what people will do, and you definitely can't. In Luffy's case, I don't think he predicted how dangerous. He never could have predicted how dangerous, the dangerous, Caribou would be. But at the same time, Luffy still is paying the price for not being more vigilant and letting Caribou just linger around them like he did. Like Caribou, at the end, right now, Caribou is an example of how the most unassuming person can be the most dangerous, and Luffy kind of let Caribou become a danger to the entire world at this point, unfortunately. Um, with that said, I'd have to go back. I'd have to go back and revisit this episode's manga chapter, because I can't remember if there was ever a moment of Frankie meeting Dorian Broggie directly. I think if I remember correctly, it was that whole scene of Bonnie and Frankie meeting Dorian Broglie. I think in the manga, the meeting itself was more focused on Bonnie's perspective. So I think whereas this one, it kind of gives Frankie a little bit more of that. Whereas the anime kind of gives Frankie a little bit more like pull in the scene, you could say, more stuff to kind of give his perspective. And I I will admit I'm kind of on the fence here because while it does take away from Bonnie's perspective, I do still kind of like the addition just for the fact of seeing Frankie's just utter confusion and questioning how the hell Luffy and others are allied with the Giants. Although I think if I had a critique of this scene, it isn't. It's that the anime kind of screwed up the perspective between Bonnie and the Giants, and how they and with in the manga, there was a lot more of a close up perspective of seeing how big just the Giants' faces were, like in compared to like Bonnie's whole body. So it's like they kind of screwed up a little bit of that perspective, but it's still kind of got a little bit of that across something to some extent. Yeah, they could have done better with that. Um, and and with all this stuff with the Giants too, one weird moment I liked in this episode is how it plays into a small the stuff that's going on with the Giants kind of plays into a small character moment with Doll, where it's revealed she used to be Saul's subordinate. So yeah, there's definitely some unresolved emotional baggage going on there that would make for an interesting interaction with him and Robin and with between between Doll, Saul, and Robin in the future. If that, of course, that kind of depends if things ever can get to that road. Like it's kind of that, like Doll right now seems to kind of be on a little bit of. I'm not gonna, we only just got this revealed, so it's depending. It doesn't even know. You can tell Doll is already kind of a little conflicted on his shoes about Saul, so it's gonna be interesting what happens when they finally meet again. um, and I can't lie, I got so much joy out of seeing Luffy absolutely pissing Saturn off. Like just the image of seeing this big hulking monster getting played with by Luffy is just so hilarious. And what makes it even more so is just how pissed off Saturn is at this. Like at all this, if Luffy did not look like Nika, he'd probably just see him as annoying Nat or something. But because Luffy has inherited that legacy and the fact that he looks so much like Nika, it just pisses Saturn off more than that he even has to contend with the idea of having to deal with someone who inherited those powers again, and the realization of their failure back on Wano. Like you can tell just this whole situation at this point is just it's just making Saturn more and more angry and vicious. Now, unfortunately, that we all know, us manga readers, we know where this is headed, and yeah, unfortunately, things are reaching that critical point where it's going to get worse. Unfortunately. Uh, And on the other end of that spectrum, though, we also have Kizaru delivering the final killing blow to Vegapunk. But the more interesting thing about that part of the episode to me, at least, is what you can very clearly see that Kizaru is kind of buckling under the pressure of this whole situation. Like, for as calm and collected as he normally is, everything that's been going on with this situation, having to kill Vegapunk, having to fight the Straw Hats, having to take orders from having to just constantly do things that he's second guessing himself about. It is emotionally breaking him, and I think that is one of the things the anime is doing a bit more than the manga is. I think they are showing much more of Kizaru's emotional break. Although I do wonder if they're showing too much of that, and how, because I'm thinking of how it might affect how I feel about this about a certain scene that once this arc comes to a close. Like I'm pretty sure that the save for Kizaru is still going to do an amazing job in that moment. But it's like if you're giving all this so many of these scenes that very much indicate his Kizaru's emotional breaking point, how much more effective is that moment with that final moment with Kizaru and this arc going to be? I wonder. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Blue Sky and Less Crunchyroll. Be sure to push the bell, hit the subscribe button, and just shove it around, guys. Dark Knight, everybody, signing off. Later, everyone.